You are now tuned in to the new Old Heads podcast, brought to you by BringingDownTheBand.com and No Bad Ideas. I am Major 7th. I make beats. I have the t-shirts to prove it. And to my left, I have the one and only Lonegevity.
Hi.
Hello. To my left, I have the one and only DJ Jay Diff.
Yo, yo.
Hello. And to my right, I have the one and only, the incomparable DJ Spoolz.
What's up, man? How are you?
Hello. Hey, man. Hey, this is episode 2. The first thing I can think about is Go Cubs Go.
That's right, man. We did it.
Go Cubs Go.
Got
How you
that.
feeling?
I say we because I'm a member of the Cubs. I don't know if you guys knew that. I'm on the team.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's why I say we. Yeah.
You on payroll? You get a check?
Yeah, I don't want to get into it, but yes. But no, man. We did it. It was awesome. It was a really cool feeling, man. I felt kind of like a kid again when they won.
I mean, you're a
33-year-old man, and I felt like I was like 8 years old again. It was
But
just
you're-
cool. Just
You're a
like,
lineage fan though. Like you have it within the family. Like you're not like it's lame Chicago fans, and then there's like lineage fans. The lames are like,
you got right into it.
yeah, I'm going
Oh,
right
really?
in. Yeah, I told you, I'm going right in. It's the lames, man. The lames are like, yeah, LeBron's mad because the Indians lost, so we're happy. Yeah,
That's
and I'm
weak,
like,
man.
what does that have to do with
Yeah.
the World Series?
Nothing at all. Yeah, that's real weak. That's a shitty way to spend your time.
Listen,
See, that's
man.
kind of like how
Like to spend one's time. To do
everybody blames Obama for every goddamn thing.
There you go.
That's kind of similar to that
It is.
scenario.
Talk
So
that
it was
talk.
LeBron's fault that Cleveland lost.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that Chicago won, actually.
As in my
Yeah.
great city, man.
Me too, man.
That whole area looked like it was just amazing, man. Absolutely amazing.
They said here's some of the things I had heard just from people I know up there, like afterwards. You guys know you can listen to like police scanners in cities
Mm-hmm.
just for free or whatever. So my buddy was listening to the CPD scanners afterwards. So some dude was just letting it hang in front of a Walgreens,
Ah, yeah.
celebrating the Cubs' victory. Like, yeah.
Good for him.
There were definitely reports of people flying W flags with guns in their
Oh, wow.
It's Chicago, baby.
It
You know what
is.
I mean? Like,
I did see a Cubs fan get pieced.
Yes.
I believe it.
Did y'all see that?
It was in Cleveland. I think a Cleveland fan was the one that hit the guy from Chicago.
knocked him
Is that
out,
Knocked
right?
him clean
Really?
out. Yeah.
Stone Cold Stunner.
Yeah.
It
No,
was
I
just
didn't
like,
see that.
pop.
Yeah, it was bad.
It's
It was
unfortunate.
real bad.
Yeah.
He knocked him out.
He woke up
He was-
happy, though.
I bet sometimes that shit happens. But no, man. What else did I saw that people were trying to. I believe I heard people were trying to get climb the field or the fence at Wrigley and get inside of Wrigley Field.
Oh, really?
Was
Cubs won.
anybody
Yeah.
successful?
I don't know. I did not hear.
Weren't they watching it at Wrigley Field, though?
Yeah, you would think
Definitely,
they would.
I believe so. And I know there were a lot of people who were just outside of Wrigley
Yeah, it
Field,
was like
just
a
hanging
mass
out.
amount of people out there I seen.
The parade on which was Friday.
How many million were at the parade? I didn't see
heard
the
between
number.
4 and 5, something like that. It was the 7th or 8th, at least what I read.
7th, yep.
Largest gathering of people
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Did anybody get hurt?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure.
Okay.
It's Chicago.
Yeah, it
so
is.
I'm sure. I'm 100% sure some people got hurt during that whole course of everything. But no, man. What was really cool. Last thing I'll say is just seeing all the fans. Like, okay, so you said I'm a lineage fan.
Yep.
My grandfather, Cubs fan.
Yep.
My dad was a Cubs fan. So I have been literally. just since I was born. But it was really cool seeing a lot of the older people happy
Yeah.
who have been
Yeah.
fans for their whole lives, but
Yeah,
are like
straight up.
60 and 70 and 80 years old. You know what I mean? That was dope.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, shout out to the Cubs, man. That's one of the cornerstone franchises, I think. Like you got sports franchises, Celtics, Lakers, Cubs. I'm trying to think in hockey, who would it be? The Islanders, maybe. Blackhawks are one of the original. How many original franchises they have in hockey? I know the
No, I
don't
Blackhawks
know.
got to be one.
they're up there, I would think. Yeah.
So when the Cubs win, it's like that's big.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah.
big.
I will say, too, that was one of the most exciting baseball games I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Likewise.
Like, straight up.
I would say it's the most exciting game ever. 10 innings, Game 7 of the World Series.
Yeah.
Right.
10 innings and won with a score of 8. 108 years.
There you go. Yep.
Talk that talk.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
crazy.
Talk that talk on
Oh,
that
and
math.
because we touched on this,
Triangle.
the whole 3-1 curse
Yes.
that Cleveland put on Golden State in the NBA Finals.
Yep.
They've been paid back by the Cubs, who won 3-1. So
it's awesome, man.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
Great.
There's somebody right now from Chicago that's laughing like the dude on Thriller because the Indians lost and LeBron's probably sad.
I honestly, man, I didn't see any of that. Again, I'm sure you probably saw more of it as you're a LeBron fan or a Cleveland fan, but I think that's some of the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Like, who has fucking time to like try to piece that together?
They tie it. They tie it all the way.
There were zero reason. Like I told you guys before. Like when I saw LeBron, I was just like, fuck. Of course he's a Cleveland fan. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
There are people.
That was all.
Yeah, I mean, he grew up over there.
Yeah,
so
it totally makes sense. Yeah,
it
I mean,
makes
but
a lot of
I was
sense.
just like, I don't,
They tied.
I want them to lose just as bad as before I knew he was a Cleveland Indians fan. You know what I'm saying? Who gives a shit? I just don't get that.
Hey,
people hate on LeBron ferociously though for anything. So,
well, I guess.
But he's rich. He's rich. So
he's rich.
He probably doesn't even care about people hating on him so much.
It's hard at the top, man. That's what they say.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
But I think I know we usually talk about just topics that I guess caught our attention throughout the week or whatever. Lil Wayne, man. Oh man.
Yeah. So Lil Wayne.
Talk that talk, man. I need to know where you stand on Lil Wayne. I want everybody's opinion, but I need you to give me how embarrassed you were with that ignorant interview that we
I have
saw.
to say I'm not really embarrassed because if you think about it,
okay,
for Lil Wayne, who has had a record deal since he was 13 years old,
okay,
you know what I'm saying? He probably really does feel like that, and you have to take it as some people they like money more than they like situations.
All right.
So he probably really doesn't give a fuck.
That's
like
fair.
Real talk. Like he may say that when he's at a concert or something because his fans, they care about it. But he really probably doesn't care.
So you're saying that because he's got material that speaks to Black Lives Matter. He's got concert footage where he's talking about that. You're saying that that's based off just an image for the fans to see. He really doesn't feel that way.
Man, it might be. And if you remember when he dropped, what album was that when he talked about George Bush?
The Carter.
No, that wasn't a Carter. It was like a mixtape.
I'll probably would sleep on the mixtape.
Okay, I can't remember the name of the mixtape, but he had the song where he went at Bush like hardcore.
Right.
I'm sure y'all probably remember that.
I heard the song.
He was talking about the levees breaking and stuff and how he didn't show up.
Dope verse.
So at some point he did feel a certain type of way about something, but
where's
maybe
he from?
He doesn't.
Where's he from though?
He's from New Orleans.
Right. So that's different.
That I guess you do have a point with that then, because he's from New Orleans, so that did affect him since he's from New Orleans.
So he felt there's a different feeling towards that because it had direct impact, right?
I guess so. But I mean, it's
versus
still
what?
lame.
Versus what else? Versus what?
Versus because that had a direct connection to him with it being, since it happened in New Orleans. But at the same time, I still think it's lame because how do you just think because you're rich and you made it? I mean, everybody's out here trying to make it. You know what I'm saying? And since you were fortunate enough to make it, you kind of put everything else on the back burner. Like, none of that stuff matters.
Right.
Like, the reporter was even asking him, so how do you feel about your daughter being called a bitch and stuff like that?
Right.
Nobody's going to call my daughter a bitch. But you're saying that to other people.
That was him. That was him.
Check mark.
Nah, that was
Spoolz.
That was me. That was me.
All right.
Go
ahead.
So it only matters if it has a direct connection to him.
Right.
But this is what I really hated about that was, okay, so he said the only connection he has is to this flag and pulled out the red rag for Bloods or whatever. But you did not start out a Blood. Like, you wasn't claiming Bloods when you first came out. You kind of got introduced to the Blood life once you got on, and you know what I'm saying.
Was
You're out
very
there,
successful.
Which is an interesting phenomenon within itself.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
Like kind of like Chris Brown.
Yeah. Well, Chris Brown probably needs some bodyguards or something. I don't know.
What
It's
what's
Chris
your
Brown.
what is your take, Lone? What do you think? Did you see the whole thing?
Nah, I saw a couple meme videos that were really funny, but I don't know what was what.
Okay.
Terry touched on something that I think is interesting, and it relates to. I think it can relate to kind of the election in a way, and kind of Trump supporters and the idea of whiteness
Right.
for white people. So you mentioned that, which I think is an interesting point, that Lil Wayne grew up. Obviously, he's a black dude from New Orleans.
Right.
He's been rich basically his whole life, his adult life.
Since he's been definitely his
Since
late
he was a
teens.
teenager, yeah.
Late teens, I'd say.
So to me, it doesn't make any sense because you still had 13 years of growing up. Anyways, so when I talk about whiteness to people,
right.
and white people and this big whole idea of white people not necessarily understanding that they're racist,
Right.
because they don't know what racism is, because they have this like 1964 version of racism, like
Right.
I just can't call them the N-word. I can't do this obvious shit. It's similar to that because it's like it doesn't even register with him. In the same way that I think a lot of white people, it just doesn't even register with them. I don't think a lot of white people know that they're racist. I think they care more about being called a racist than actually addressing their racism.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But-
That's true.
But as far as the conditioning of America and white people,
Right.
it's interesting, that phenomenon right there with a rich black man that doesn't have to deal with it, quote unquote. It's interesting because it seems like it's kind of similar in a way.
Spoolz,
I mean, not really, but you know.
Spoolz,
Sure,
jump
I
in.
agree.
Like, what's your take on that?
I didn't see his interview, but I remember seeing something. It was maybe a month ago. He was being interviewed by I think it was like Shannon Sharp. He was on some sports show. He had made a similar
and
comment
when he
then
said
as well.
the All Lives Matter thing.
Yeah, undisputed on
Yeah.
Fox.
Where he said he had not. He said he had never experienced racism.
Yes.
Right.
Right there.
Right.
So, but I didn't see this other interview, and then I saw what T.I. said. Just real quick, I think T.I. I don't know. Like, we don't know what we don't know. But if I felt that way about someone else who apparently they're friends, I would call them.
Versus the social media route.
Yeah.
Right.
I can see that both ways though, because we're speaking from, we're not in the limelight like that, so
Sure.
people don't see us every day.
Right.
So if Lil Wayne says something like that, and then T.I. kind of combats it, but the way he did it, it was like he was speaking directly to Lil Wayne. He just made it public.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm just more of a private type cat. Maybe
I
maybe
understand
I'm
that.
not like a limelight type. You know what I mean? I don't know that.
Well,
That makes
You're
sense
right.
though, but in the same token, Lil Wayne said that on a very public stage.
Good point.
Right.
That's true.
that's what I think is getting lost in it. That was public as it gets. And Lone and I were talking about accountability, because it's like, on one hand, it's the Spoolz angle where he's like, okay, we'll pull my friend aside and just say, hey, bro, come on, man. Like, we got to do better than that. The other side is what he and I alluded to, which was, holding somebody accountable. Like, when you put it out there, it's almost like, okay, so now what are you going to do that you've been held accountable?
Right.
And I just, the whole thing was uncomfortable to me. Diff, I feel you on what you're saying, because there's two sides to everything, so I get it. But I'm an accountability person, and I think about the people that are watching, and there's so many impressionable youth and kids that are young. Everybody wants to rap now. There's no, I want to be this or I want to be that. 9 times out of 10, when you see a little kid or you go to a family reunion or something, somebody's got a mixtape. So when they look up and they see this, I'm like, man, that's not it. Like that approach and the gang approach and all that in that setting, that's not it.
I agree with I think it's important to address that stuff in public because of how it was done. Like, I can respect that idea,
Right.
but at a certain level, he could have had that conversation with Wayne privately.
Sure.
But would anybody know that he addressed that to Wayne? So if they saw each other together out,
Right.
would you just assume that he co-signs that?
Right.
Good point.
I mean, even in his little letter, didn't he talk about our daughters played together
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stuff
Kids,
like that?
yeah.
You know, like,
And then his daughter, she went on to say, Lil Wayne's daughter, she went out there and said, I think you're just doing that for publicity, I guess.
Right.
Talking
To T.I.
directed to T.I., yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, I
How
mean,
old
of
is
course
she?
she's going to stand by her dad. She's
Sure.
like 17 or
17,
something like
probably
that.
16 or 17.
But I feel what T.I. is saying, and I feel where she's coming from, too, as a child to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This
See her
man
dad
that
get caught
raised
out like
her.
that.
yeah.
I understand that.
Right.
But at the same time, there has to be some kind of accountability for that, because you have people that look up to you. You have fans, and this is what a lot of people that are out there don't realize. Regardless of if you want to be a role model or not,
Right.
you have to make some kind of role model decision when certain things happen. And you have to have some kind of feeling about that, too. Otherwise, it's kind of a fake facade, you know what I'm saying, that you're putting out there.
And I see that in conversations all the time that I have with people. I'll have a conversation with somebody online or something, and it's almost like they don't expect me to call them on their shit.
Right. Right.
And then they completely back down, like, oh, well,
Yeah.
that's
I
they
don't know.
they don't want to talk about it. But to me personally, I understand where they're coming from. Like, oh, let's talk about this in private. I get that, but when you put yourself out there in a specific way, now granted, Lil Wayne could have been bombarded with questions that he didn't want to answer. I don't know.
I
I
don't know
believe he
either.
said
I
that.
couldn't speak on that either.
But the
What if he
fact,
said he wasn't happy with the way the interview was going, or
Which
he
is
said
fair. Like,
something
that's
like
fair.
that, yeah.
Yeah. That's
but
fair.
if you make statements that are bold statements about stuff, and you don't really know what you're talking about and how it affects certain people,
Yep.
regardless, you know, you make a blanket statement, especially who he is. Like that speaks volumes. I don't know. That's just
Do you guys
my
think,
unimportant opinion on it. But
is it possible that when situations like this happen, or something like, who benefits, or who could benefit from something like this? Do you think it benefited Lil Wayne to say what he said in a way, in a certain way, potentially, by not speaking out on something that might be seen as by people who? It's money, man.
It
is what I'm
with
getting
the
at.
current climate, though. You know,
I hope not. I hope that's not the case, but I think it's worth
It is
discussing
money. It
because
is money.
just like we all said about, I mean, Lil Wayne's, the majority of his catalog that I've ever heard, that's what he taught. It's money. Like that's
It's
his
money.
thing.
yeah. I mean,
He's
cash
obviously
money,
very
records,
into money.
Cash
Yeah.
money.
He's suing Baby for money right now.
You know what I'm saying? Like money. That's what's very important. So
Good point.
it's possible if he steps outside of the persona he's created and decides to speak out a little bit more, that could affect his money. It does.
I really don't think it would affect his money in a negative way, though. Even if he did say that meant something to him, I don't think
It's
that
going to
would
hurt
affect
sponsorships. It is.
I don't see
Unfortunately,
how would that hurt sponsorships, though.
because it's controversial, and because a lot of these this is just my opinion, because I think a lot of the companies that that might sponsor are owned by white people, and they don't, and to them that's controversial, and they don't want to sponsor someone. People have been not sponsored for less.
Yeah, but for him to
I wish that's
completely
not the
dismiss
case.
it, like I mean, he even asked her like, "What is that?" Like he didn't
Right.
even know what it was. It's like kind of like when Trump got the endorsement from who was that dude? The KKK dude.
Oh,
David Duke or something.
Duke.
But
he
he-
tried to like, who is David Duke? You know, that's fake. You
Right.
know exactly what that is.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So for you to even act like you don't know what it is,
Right.
and then go into your spiel about for you to say in America, Black lives don't matter.
Right.
I'm a rich black man. It definitely, you know what I'm saying? That's fake to me, man. I don't like that.
I don't
This is how I feel.
I completely agree. I'm just saying that it is possible.
I'll take what you're saying, and I'll say because rich white people profit so much off of black culture, that it may not affect it as much because of the type of icon he is.
I mean, if you think about the sponsorship argument, you can take it from music. You can expand to sports. Like, think about, for example,
people get blackballed for shit.
That's
like
true.
this,
I mean,
man.
there's
you know what I'm saying?
definitely merit
it
to
sucks. I wish more people spoke out. You know
and
what I'm
there's
saying?
levels to it too, though.
it is.
Sure,
Because
absolutely.
they kind of pick and choose who they pick with. You know what I'm saying? So if you're at a certain level, they're not going to take it as far.
But look at Tiger, though.
That's a good point.
Look at Tiger. Like, when Tiger had the wreck, right? And then all the infidelity stuff came out. You start seeing watch companies falling off.
Oh, dude.
The only thing that stayed the course was like Nike and, I don't know, maybe a couple of his video game endorsements. And I think he has 𝗏𝗏, which is the watch brand.
Yep.
Other than that, like, he lost mad sponsorship because of controversy. So I think there's truth to what he's saying. I just don't know how much it would affect.
Yeah.
I'm
not
saying how
saying
much it will
that's the
affect Lil
case
Wayne.
Even. I'm saying it's something I think has to be considered because money is obviously very important to, I mean, not just Lil Wayne, but a lot of people, and it's a highly motivating factor in our capitalist society.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it's just something that might have to. Why aren't you know what I'm saying? I've heard the same. I've just read things and heard the same about a lot of other prominent black figures not speaking out.
Good point.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's true. I think it has to be considered as to why. Do I honestly think Lil Wayne in his life has never experienced racism? Being white, I don't. It's hard telling, but knowing what I know, I'm like 99% sure he's experienced racism in his life, especially growing up in New Orleans, man.
Right.
But that's kind of like
In the housing projects, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, even by just that,
Yeah.
he has experienced racism in his life.
You think in some form. You
Yeah.
think in some
Unless you
form
think.
somewhere.
He doesn't have the same idea of what racism is.
Yeah, he
That's
could
a
not
good
tie
point.
those things
That's a
together.
good point.
that's kind of like,
Sure.
did y'all hear what Shaq said?
Yes.
What'd
So-
Shaq say? I missed that one.
So Shaq says that if you get pulled over, as long as you know what I'm saying,
Model citizen.
Yeah, I mean, people know who Shaq is. So if you get pulled over, nothing's happening to you, Shaq.
At all.
Like if you done some O.J. Simpson type shit, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Yeah, something's gonna happen to you. But if you just get pulled over,
He'll still be alive though.
yeah, you'll be good to go. They probably want to take a picture with you.
At the end of the
The
day,
same
they're gonna want
rules
to take a
do
picture
not
with you.
apply to you.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So
Facts.
Yep.
for you to kind of take a stand like that, and I don't get that, man. It's like you're not
on Lil Wayne's part to take the stand that he took. Is that what you're talking about?
well, not necessarily to that extent. What I'm saying with Lil Wayne, he should have at least acknowledged that Black Lives Matter exists. Like, there's not a official leader of Black Lives Matter or anything like that.
It's definitely a movement. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
but you
Right.
do recognize that things go on that are not as good for people that look like you. You know what I'm saying? At least acknowledge it.
The only other bailout I can, or not bailout, but the only other thing I can say as to maybe the why behind it is maybe he does just live in a fucking bubble, dude. It's very possible he just lives in a bubble, and
as a celebrity,
he's rich.
As a rich celebrity, I don't find that to be that far fetched. That people could be that separated from today's worlds and today's concepts. That doesn't seem to me to be that far fetched, because I feel like
right
some
back
of
to
these
what
people
Lone
could
just
be.
said. Basically, is kind of what we're saying.
Yeah.
The
to me,
obliviousness.
It's conditioning,
Because
man.
you don't have
it's
to
like
care
okay,
almost,
it's
in
like
a way, but I couldn't see that. I can't even see that. Like,
it's conditioning. It's like when people get to a certain spot in their life, they stop caring about the things that they should care about because they're in different circles now. So now all of a sudden, rather than me caring about what goes on out here, I'm in a position to where I can do whatever I want monetarily. So in my mind, psychologically, I've been reprogrammed. You know what I'm saying? I'm accepted by these people over here and these people over here. I don't really see what goes on in the hood on an everyday basis, so I'm numb to it now.
Yep.
Only thing I care about is getting money.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's, unfortunately, is a truth that goes on now.
And that's success in general, I
Yeah.
think.
Yep.
You know, like that's, once you reach, and I see this even with people that I know, they get to a certain level, in general, there seems to be a time when people just stop caring to want to learn because they think they know everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then you can't explain anything to certain people because they've already lived it.
Yeah.
They've already lived it.
They've already had all the experiences they need. What can you teach me?
Mm-hmm.
So that the conditioning is so serious. When I actually literally saw it,
Yep.
I was almost dumbfounded when I had that click in my head. And I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
It was like,
It's mental, man. It's a choice. I really think it's the conditioning part is I think that's accurate, but I also think it's a choice because you do have it's two sides to everything. So you have those athletes that go back into the community and do XYZ, the scholarships, to this, to that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like on one hand, it's like I could see how somebody could be totally oblivious to what goes on based off their status, and on the other hand, I'm like, but yeah, there's a dude that's worth twice as much as you are that's doing XYZ back in the hood or back in his community or back where he or she is from.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know what I mean? Can you use that as a crutch to say he's ignorant to certain things because he's gotten to this point? Or is it a mental thing where it's like you have to make that choice to want to go back and invest?
That's fair. I think it's,
you know what I'm saying?
I think it's interesting from a white person's perspective because you can legitimately grow up as a white person and not have any reason at all to care about any type of issues outside of your white country, which is whiteness. Like, you don't have to pay any attention to anybody that looks different than you at all.
That's real.
So when you're born that way and you have generations just that don't have any other type, I think it's different coming from somebody who grew up in that situation and then they get to a point and then they're like maybe revert out of it or something, than somebody that grows up in it and has no clue at all.
Right.
I don't know. I've seen it though, so it's
it's definitely out there. I mean, that goes back to the whole privilege thing too.
Right.
Like you have that option to just not be like, you know what I'm saying? I don't have to pay attention to that
at any point in
because
time.
it doesn't affect me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
you do have that option.
Yep.
Did you have anything else to add to that, Spoolz, in terms of, you know, what we're talking about in terms of the options or anything?
No, not really. I mean, I'm glad T.I. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm glad he did say something. I think it's good, and maybe at the end of the day, it is better he did say it publicly. To your guys' point, because a public statement was made by
somebody,
Wayne, as far as that is concerned. But no, man, definitely, it's interesting to see. It's just, to me, it's another version of like a thermometer of where we're at racially right now in the country.
Right.
So
speaking on, I mean, I know that this is going to air after the election is over.
Right.
But today is election day, like while we're recording this.
Right.
So by the time this airs, we're going to know who was chosen.
We will.
Unless there's like a recount or something like that.
Yeah. Who's chosen?
So how do y'all feel about that though? Like,
I was very disheartened most of the day today, man. It's gonna sound so dumb, but like I'm not even that, like, I'm not a politically charged individual by any means. This is probably the second election I voted in that I thought I wasn't gonna vote at all.
Right.
And then, you know, people I like a lot, you know what I mean? Well, you know, it makes that, you know, tell you how it's important, and they're right, and it makes sense to me, and I end up going and doing it. But I felt like anxious today. I just felt, and maybe it's not even that big of a deal. I mean, there's a part of me that feels like maybe it isn't that big of a deal.
Right.
I don't know, dude. I feel so disengaged with the general political. Here's how I feel. I don't like politics because of the way we have chosen to make politics be in this country. The nature of it, of how we do in this country, keeps me fairly disengaged with the whole thing, man.
Like confrontational type idea, or
not even so much that, just the general inequality that exists.
Right.
That, you know, I'm big. You know, you said earlier, Maja, that, you know, you're an accountability person, and I'm an accountability I would consider myself to be that as well. But when we start talking about, like, you know, applying that to politics and stuff, and where we're at in our country and the history of our government and things like that, you know, I oftentimes like candidates who want more accountability, like personal accountability, you know?
Right.
But we don't have the foundation necessary in this country, in my opinion, to be able to establish firm accountability for people yet. I just don't think we have that.
My father
but
always...
The idea is cool. But yeah, I'm just not, I voted, and I guess the last thing I can say is, like, it would be pretty terrifying if Donald Trump ends up becoming the president. That's just my opinion, man.
Yeah.
So.
Dude, my dad used to always tell me if I'm not that educated on something, there's no need to just sit up there and run my mouth, right? Yep. And politics that's where I fall. Like, you'll never hear me spouting off on Facebook, on conversations amongst friends or anything about politics, because A, I'm not that well versed in it. B, it's something I still have to get better at. I have to do more research at, because it's just one of those things where it's an uneasy feeling for me. Like today, as a person that's not that deep into politics, I pay attention, I watch here and there, but you'll never see me in debates about that because I just don't feel comfortable with it in terms of my knowledge or lack thereof. But I was looking at my computer today at work, and I'm like, yo, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are the last two candidates for the presidency of the United States of America.
Yeah, man.
Like, all day I've been like, is this really real life? Like, is this really happening? That's an uneducated opinion. And I'm like, I just don't know. I went out, did my duties or whatever, but it's just crazy to me. Like, I just kind of sit back and absorb and try to learn before I try to make any moves politically. And it's just,
I'm with you there,
it's just
man.
an uneasy feeling for me
It's
personally. You know what I'm saying?
It's a lot.
That's just my take on it.
I'm similar.
And it's weird because this election season seems like it has been like very long and ongoing. It's almost like it seems like it's been going on for a few years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't seem like
fucking clown show is what it's been, dude.
crazy.
It's crazy.
And like it's
Facts.
exhausting in itself.
Yep.
To have to, like, even with keeping up with stuff that makes sense to you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's going to relate to you in your life.
Yep.
As far as this election goes, and I know there's things that we do that has no effect on the outcome of what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, paying attention to the climate and stuff,
right?
Like, it's bad right now.
Mm-hmm. Feels bad. It certainly feels bad.
It's for real. It's bad. Like, I don't know what's going to happen once they figure out who won this election.
Right.
By the time you see this, we'll already know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just a weird feeling and vibe that's going on right now.
People
it's
might
like
wild out, man.
Yeah, it's like when you go out in public, though. Like, me personally, I feel kind of funny around certain people, and it may be because I might be judging people,
right.
which isn't
be
necessarily right, but
yeah,
I don't know what's going on in your head right now,
Right.
based on a lot of this election shit.
Are you? And I think I know what you're kind of getting at, and that's maybe not, but how many people have you guys throughout the course of this seen, like friends of yours on some social media site like Facebook, Twitter, or whatever, and seen them post some things and just be like, oh.
Yeah, there's been a few.
And I don't mean like I'm a Trump supporter. I've got buddies that are like, I'm gonna vote for Donald Trump. I'm like, that's fine, whatever.
Openly,
you know.
I've
but
seen that.
I
as
mean,
well.
like layers deeper, getting into like like, oh wow, like it's literally, I had no idea you were racist.
Yeah, and what's crazy about it, and I hate to even say this.
They don't even realize.
So with
It's
Trump,
insane.
I'm not saying that everybody that's voting for Trump is a racist.
I am.
I'm not saying
No,
that.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah,
But
I agree-
all
I agree with you,
racists are voting for Trump, if that makes sense to
Absolutely.
Fair.
Yep.
you. You know what I'm saying?
It's fair.
So why would you want to be associated with that group of people? That's what I'm saying. So if you're all about equality,
But they're not.
and you know what I'm saying?
They're not, though.
It doesn't make sense to me for you to associate yourself with this group of people who are all like rah-rah for him.
Those
you know
issues,
what I'm saying?
Those issues don't matter to them.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't matter at all.
Right.
They're more worried about terrorist organizations in France possibly getting in through refugees than terrorist organizations burning a church down in Mississippi.
And worried about ISIS, which has killed less people in the past year than Americans have killed.
Wow.
Yep. You know what I'm saying?
White Republicans are a bigger terrorist threat than Muslims.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is fact.
This
is Beans fact.
That's deep.
Like, it's like
shout out to Beans facts.
Facts.
But see,
we should
this
get
stuff
that
is
as a soundbite.
Straight
this
up,
stuff
bro.
is so over that side of the head, and it's like, here's the one thing I'll say about this election, and it's what you touched on. It has allowed us, as people in general, to really look at some of the people that we associate ourselves with, family included.
Yep.
Family
Especially for me.
Right.
And realize that, one, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about some things. And that, two, that their interests are completely, they have nothing to do with certain political alignments. It's helped me realize the difference between conservatives and progressives. And it's helped me understand that some people do not care at all about anything that has to do with social issues.
Right.
And that they don't value them as a particular political item.
Yep.
But more so the other side of the thing. So
that part I have because I tend to lean the other way. I care more.
I have historically.
Far more. Yeah.
Historically, I have. Until I was like, oh, these things actually do matter.
Right.
Because I had the white privilege it didn't affect me.
But see, at least this is why I applaud people like you and like Spoolz, because y'all acknowledge that, and y'all for real try to enlighten other people on that. You know what I'm saying?
There's a beauty to that.
You know what I'm saying? That means a lot to me personally.
Yeah.
Just seeing that. And when I'm talking to people, like I bring guys like you up. I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna G for that, because my guy, like, you know what I'm saying? Y'all are my friends.
Right.
They feel the same way I feel.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I can't 100% G for certain things, because I know that at least my friends, my group of people, my core feel the same way that I feel.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
well, that's the beauty of it. We've talked about that before. The dynamic that we have on the show is actually dope, because we have perspectives. It's 4 different perspectives, but it's still 2 from each race. So I think that's the beauty of it, because we, in terms, when I say we, I'm speaking me and Terry. I echo what he's saying, that you can sit down with people like yourself and like Lone that have an open mind to at least be able to acknowledge or see the other side, not completely shut it off. There are people that are straightforward. They will not see, they will not deviate, nothing but straightforward, right? And you guys have consistently shown, we grew up together.
Yep.
So I know his stance, and ever since I got a chance to be Spoolz, it's the same way. Like, you guys are open-minded to at least seeing, the other side, or addressing the other side on certain topics. And I appreciate that. Just like to echo what Terry said, like, that's dope. We don't get that a lot.
Yeah, man. No doubt. This shit's very important to me, and I think I can speak for Sean to say I know it's very important to him as well. It's just, and for whatever reason it might be, a lot of people extremely close to me are black and have been for a lot of my life. You know what I'm saying? So, and God, and thank my parents. You know what I mean? For when I was young, putting certain books in my hands and telling me that you need to learn about this. It's important that you understand things about this.
Nice.
And certain teachers, that I've had in school and things like that.
Right.
It's very important to me, and that is why I have such an uneasy feeling about this election and the things that might transpire between now and the next podcast that we have.
Right.
Man.
right.
Yeah, it could be that fast.
And it's not even just nerve-wracking. It's sad. It makes me sad, legitimately sad to see some of the things that have gone on throughout, like, and to not even just the people you knew on Facebook and they say racist shit. I mean, just the fact that Brother Ali has a really, really good song on The Morning in America, Dreaming in Color.
It's a dope album.
Yeah.
It's called A Letter to My Countrymen. I sat and listened to it a couple times today. It was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And he touches on in that song on the fact that like he's like, what's he say? The truth is far more embarrassing. We're still not close to really sharing things.
Right.
That's the truth, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I don't care what political spin you put on it. I don't care if you look at it through an economic lens versus a political lens or anything along those
and
lines,
that's the
man.
thing.
This drew out people's still deep-seated feelings about race.
Yep.
And it's saddening. It's sad.
And regardless of what happens tonight or during this election, those feelings are still there. So it doesn't matter what this outcome is going to be.
That's where I was going with it.
Those feelings are still there, embedded in people.
Great observation.
And that's the one thing I felt disheartened today, because I feel like people that I see say, "Oh, I'm ready for this election to get over with."
Yep.
And I see certain people say that, and I know why they say it. They're saying it because they don't want to have to deal with these issues anymore. They want that to go right back under the table.
Really good point.
That is a great point.
I see that, and it makes me extremely angry.
Yeah.
So it's
don't have to deal with it. Don't have to think about this. And
out of sight, out of mind.
I can go back to being
That's pretty much what it is.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Closet feelings or notions or
just
beliefs I've had that I don't, or I just don't have to think about it.
Let me just use my privilege and just stamp that check mark and move on.
Well, I think we've this is dope. We got good dialogue. You know
we could go on for a while.
Yeah, like I know we got other topics we want to try to squeeze in, but I think there's nothing wrong with us addressing current events. Like sometimes it just goes that way. But I do know we wanted to hit on some new music. You know what I'm saying? We do talk about music.
That's a good transition into Common's new album.
Man,
it's a good album.
Man, I tell you what, Common's my favorite rapper, so I got a little bit of bias.
I do too.
But I still am with an open mind. Like Diff and I were talking about it, and he's like, well, where do you think it falls? It's too early. I think it's going to fall after the classics, somewhere in there after the classics. We fighting Electric Circus right now because you brought up some good points. But I give him credit for having relevant music.
Right.
Yeah, I
Sam
give him
Cooke,
that.
James Brown, those guys made relevant joints. Marvin Gaye, Aretha Franklin, relevant joints. And for him to take that risk to make relevant music to the times, I give him credit for that. Lyrically, he's still sharp. The production I thought was cohesive. I didn't like all the beats, but it was cohesive. The whole album sounded like an album. Like he sequenced the interludes.
Yeah.
So overall, man, like through my first couple listens, I'm pretty impressed. I think it's a solid project. It's very solid.
You got any favorite songs? Pyramids is my favorite.
Pyramids is dope.
And what was that one you mentioned?
Little Chicago Boy.
Chicago Boy.
I like
That's
Love
probably
Star.
my favorite.
Those are probably my two favorites.
Love Star.
Love Star is one of my favorites.
Letter
Stevie
to the
Wonder
Free.
joint.
Yeah, that's good.
Single.
And like I echo what you're saying. My bad. I just hit the.
That's a check
mic,
mark.
but,
How many does he have? 2?
That's
I
like
got
4.
Really?
I only counted 2.
On the season?
He
On the
did-
season or in the game?
No, he
We're
did
talking
something that
like-
was loud
we
as
just
Today?
talking about the game. Yeah.
Okay, this the game. Okay.
He did something that was loud as hell
got a
earlier.
couple.
Yeah, we got one.
I think I hit the mic.
Come
You
on,
were just
man.
in the middle
But
of a
I'm
statement,
sorry.
so
Yeah, I'm
episode,
sorry.
It's
You know.
episode 2, bro.
I
Come on,
apologize.
man.
I'm
They
gonna get it
watching,
right.
man.
I'm gonna get it right.
Apologize.
But
Go ahead.
what was I saying?
See,
See, y'all made me
That's
lose
another
track
one.
of what
That's
I
a
was
check mark.
saying.
Yeah.
we were talking about. I think you were talking about
The love joint.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I really like that joint. But there was something else we was talking about too.
I'd mentioned the Electric Circus, and then you were talking about where it might fit in terms of the landscape of his album.
All right, okay. So I'll just say this. This is how I feel about the album so far.
Okay.
All right, so there are some joints on there, but being a fan of Common and his last like 2-peat of just dope albums was, to me, was B and Finding Forever.
Right.
All right, so with saying that, I appreciate him like talking about the current climate of things. You know what I'm saying? I do like that. But is not, and I hate to have to do this, but I feel like I always have to compare the artists. I just did it again. Artists' other albums to their current album. You know what I'm saying? So with me saying that, it's not as good as that, but it's cool.
That's right.
It's cool.
What you got, Spoolz?
I've listened to it all once, I think, and then a few tracks multiple times. I like it. I'm not as probably as intense or as big of Common fans maybe as you guys are, but I'm a big fan of Common. I like him a lot. Like his music a lot.
Top 5. We'll save that.
Are you
for
asking
later.
me? Or?
No, I'm just saying me personally. Top 5.
Yeah.
I like that. Cal,
but
I like that.
I thought it was a really good album. I think I'm glad it came out when it did. To your guys' point, it's relevant. I hope that it gets heard by a ton of people. There's a lot of what I felt like were fairly uplifting songs. Somewhat, positive is a general kind of generic term to use, but certainly on that, just waking people up, man. Just trying to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I just felt like that's what he was trying to do with this project. And
We got Pop's rap too.
We did, and he's passed away. Rest in peace to Pops. He always takes Pops with him on his albums, which is dope. I don't think he was on Nobody Smiling, but that album was so bad I ain't really care.
Yeah, it was really awful. Well, let's put it this way. Vast improvement from... I bought Nobody Smiling when it came out as well.
Terrible.
And giant improvement from that album.
Yeah, I do
For
give
sure.
it that.
Dude, I heard Pyramids, and I was like, Common's
He's back. Yeah.
You know,
he's back.
Common has some classic albums.
Absolutely.
Yes,
I
and that's
put
the
that
hard
down.
part
Yeah.
because he's got
Finding
some
Forever,
really, really dope
or
shit.
B. I'm a huge fan of B. That's probably my
Like Water for Chocolate.
That's my favorite album ever.
yeah.
So,
B is flawless to me. There's nothing wrong with that
The
album.
intro
top
to
bottom.
B.
Man.
I'll repeat it. I'll listen to it. 3
It might
times.
be possibly, arguably, the greatest intro ever for a hip hop joint. Arguably.
That and the intro. Not to get too far off topic, but I want to say it's either the 𝗏𝗲𝗄 or @Aliens intro.
Probably
Probably
𝗏𝗏𝗄.
Probably
Because you
𝗏𝗏𝗄.
can't remember
Till
it,
it's summer in the city. You know
No,
what I'm
that's
talking about?
𝐻𝐴liens. But I like.
That's
I like the intro to 𝗏𝗏𝗄 because it's the return of the gangster.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, that was killer
was
because
dope.
people was judging the 𝗏𝐴liens album so hardcore.
I love that
And then
album,
for him to, hey, that's one of my favorite joints.
Yep.
But for him to come in saying that was on point. But back to comment, my bad.
Yeah.
Nah,
Shout out to 3 Stacks, man.
for real.
My dude Jesse be hating on 3 Stacks.
Why? That's
Shout out
like
to my
me.
homie.
Really?
That's the greatest.
We ain't gonna do him like
hip-hop
that
duo
though. That's my man. But
ever,
he hates
in my
on 3
opinion.
Stacks. He
3 Stacks
hates
in my
on
top
3
3.
Stacks.
Yeah,
You know.
easily.
What
Different
you got?
strokes.
What you got, Lone? You got anything other than Common? You got any Common comments or?
No,
have
it
you
was
heard
good.
anything?
It was good.
Yeah.
I pretty much aligned with what Terry was saying.
Okay.
It was good. I listened to it. It was very uplifting. I'm glad you mentioned that. It did seem very uplifting. It seems to be Common's, I don't want to say theme, but it's something that he's doing really well at.
Yep.
You know, so you see his documentary?
I think
haven't
you
seen
posted it, but I didn't get a chance to watch it.
It's pretty dope.
Nice.
So,
This flute player is cold. I got a crush on her. I'm sorry. She cold at the flute too, though. But you know,
Right.
Did you guys realize that 2016 will have brought a new De La Soul album, a new
Yep.
Tribe Called Quest album, and
Yep.
a new Common album?
how
That's
about
crazy.
that?
Isn't that dope?
Yeah, that's real nice.
Man, I'm so excited for that.
And it
track.
might,
It's been kind of a
might
good year
have
for
a
hip-hop,
Nas
isn't it?
album.
Really?
It
Might.
might.
Yeah.
There's a glimmer of hope for a Nas album this year.
I'm so excited just based off what I've heard or the possibilities of what might happen for the Tribe album. I saw
Man.
Kendrick. I saw
Andre 3000.
3 Stacks. That's all I need to see.
Jack
much.
White's on
Elton-
that joint.
Elton
matter.
John. Elton
Jack
John's
White.
going to be on this.
Yeah.
No
album.
shit.
So
At least
by
I'm
the
pretty sure that's
time
what I did.
our next podcast premieres after this one,
If
we
we all
will
if
have
the purge,
heard-
after the purge occurs. and
Yeah.
if we all make it
right, we will have heard the new Tribe album.
Yes.
So I imagine next week is going to be a lot about Tribe.
Yes.
I'd
I
say
foresee
that.
that
I'd say
as
that's gonna
well.
be a safe bet. I see Lone has the
Yeah.
has his walkie-talkie there.
Let's talk about Turn Off Your Radio.
What site is that?
BringingDownTheBand.com.
BDTB.
/ Turn Off Your Radio. Every week we release a new playlist. We're on 79 right now.
Man, shout out to that.
Numbers.
So 79 is going to release actually probably tomorrow, but lots of really dope tracks. We got like 40 of them on here. My hands are all like Moist.
We got
Who hates
right.
the word moist?
All right.
We
I've heard a lot of people don't like the word moist.
We got any local artists on there, or did you just was it a combination of or?
I want to give a personal shout out real quick. Where you're talking about local to Pope.
Shouts to Pope.
Yeah,
You know
man.
what I'm saying? Straight up.
We love you, Pope.
We just
For
stay
real.
up. You know what I'm saying? And I applaud you for dealing with the situation
Yes.
Yep.
rather than let it deal with you.
Word.
Yes.
Word.
Because honestly, in the black community,
Uh-huh.
we kind of sweep that kind of stuff under the rug. Well, used to at least. And for you to come to grips with it and do what you need to do, I applaud you for that.
Word.
Yes, straight
Word.
up.
Shout out to Pope.
Absolutely.
What you got, Lone?
Well, let's see. Let's touch on some of these joints. So, Mac Miller dropped a new video today for Stay.
I like Mac Miller.
It's
Yeah, he's
I
nice.
really do.
He's got some trumpets in it. The video's decent. It's like him dancing around on a beach.
Okay.
I've listened to 2 Mac Miller songs my entire life. Couldn't tell you what they're called.
You- For
I
real?
really. He's just somebody that I've.
We'll talk about that after the show.
All right.
You'll be surprised.
Okay.
Go ahead, Lone.
Larry Fisherman.
Spillage Village.
Spillage Village.
It's this joint. I don't know who they are, but Earth Gang. You know Earth Gang from
Yeah,
Atlanta.
yeah.
Earth Gang from Atlanta's on it, and J. Cole.
Nice.
Okay.
It's this dope joint just dropped today. Boz, is that his name? Boz.
Yeah. Yeah, Boz is nice, though.
Yeah, he is
Where's
nice.
he from?
He's one of Cole's peoples. I don't
Yeah,
know where
he's
he's
on
from.
Dream.
North Carolina,
What are
maybe?
they?
Dream something or other.
I can't
Dreamville.
remember. Dreamville, yeah.
Yeah. He dropped a dope video.
Big Bo loves Boz. Eric.
Geechee Sway dropped a joint called Phone Check.
Okay.
Video.
Check
Really?
that out.
Rapping. He was rapping.
Nice.
What was the album that you posted, though, in the thread? We was talking about...
Yeah, from last week, La Coka Nostra.
No.
They dropped an album.
The DJ Rude 1 album?
Rude One.
yeah.
All right. I was waiting to talk about
Yeah, we'll talk
that
about
album.
that. We'll
Okay.
talk
Boy,
about
oh
that.
boy. Damn.
Yeah, but we talked
Pretty good.
about we were talking about La Coka Nostra last week and Ill Bill and Slain.
Yep.
But they dropped an album randomly like
Okay.
2 days ago. So
Nice.
that's on the site. Zion I, which is Zumbi.
Yep.
Zumbi? Is that how he says his name?
Familiar, yeah.
I don't know if
I think-
Amp Live still in the group or not, but he dropped a video that was dope. Rex dropped a new dope video.
Shout out to Rex.
Rex is dope.
Vic Mensa dropped his 16 Shots, which was about Laquan McDonald, Chicago.
Shout out to Vic. Shout town.
Yes, sir.
What else we
Kid's
got on here?
incredible, man. He can
Tokyo.
spit.
He's dope.
Tokyo from Chicago. He's a Save Money dude.
Okay.
So these are all new joints that have dropped pretty much in the last week. A handful of them. But yeah,
Is Chance still Save Money?
I don't know. I would assume it's probably like
He probably
Cut Camp.
is. Yeah,
Who's
he
all in
probably-
that crew?
Chance, Vic, Tokyo. Who else is in that? I don't
them
really
are,
know.
them are
can't-
like the main people I know, but I'm sure it's a lot deeper than
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah, I can't remember all of it, but they got a pretty strong movement in the
It's
shop.
not like
man.
Joey Perp and those cats. Is that different?
yeah, it
crew?
might be.
I think
See in
he
there
is.
too?
And Cammy the Chai or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
They got like a duo together.
Gotcha.
Cammy. Sorry, I don't remember his name.
What was that album, Spoolz, you were talking about?
DJ Rude 1. What's it called? Is it called Closed Sessions or is that the...
Closed Sessions is the label.
The
So
label?
that's the dude that used to run Ruby Hornet.
yeah,
You know him.
Alex.
Alex.
Yeah.
Alex
Shout out to
Scribner.
Alex.
His label.
Okay.
So
Dude.
they released it, but DJ Rude 1, he's a producer, DJ.
Oh, man.
I heard that all these beats he made before 2006.
I saw you talking. So my man from Buffalo actually jumped in a thread. You had sent that to me on Facebook last week or something, late last week. And
Yeah.
He's from the Shy?
no, I got a buddy from Buffalo.
/ New York.
Oh,
Okay.
your man. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean that's where Rude 1's from. I don't know where he's from.
Pretty
Sorry.
pretty impressive, Spoolz.
Man, I was very impressed. I mean,
It's
it's up
grimy.
my alley, man. It's that type
nice.
of shit that I like a
Yeah.
lot. And the selection of MCs he has. I mean, he's got the first track is it's just hard as fuck. It's called Andre Drummond and it's Conway. And it's just
See,
one really
and
dope
see,
verse.
I was
and
gonna
he just
bring that
comes
up
in and
because, like,
kills
remember we
it,
was
like-
talking about Conway versus
West Side
West
Gun.
Side Gun.
West Side Gun.
Yeah.
See, that verse on that song is why I like Conway better than I like West Side Gun.
I can understand that.
West
I can
Side,
definitely understand that.
West Side
because he
Gun.
murdered that shit.
Yeah.
Like, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's got Your Old Droog on there. Pretty
Yeah.
dope song. He kind of raps like double time on this track that Rude 1 did. It's kind of dope, man. It's I mean, I think and Droog's dope, man. I mean, he's a good MC.
That got me wanting to listen to this now.
Yeah, it's nice.
This
This
he's
is
got
definitely
Rock
underground.
Marciano on 2 tracks,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken. He's
Dude is
got
nice.
there's a cat I'd never heard of. He's from Chicago, Jeremiah Jai or something along those lines, but it's called Street Scenes. Really dope track. It's Rude One cuts too. He can scratch a little bit, and he's good.
Also,
He can
you
scratch.
appreciating his production and his skills with the ones and twos.
Pick some cool stuff. But
Okay.
you guys remember King Louis got interviewed about Chicago, and they asked him, they're like, what's going on in Chicago? And he was like, the devil's working overtime. I don't know if you guys remember that. But he cuts that up on that Street Scene song at the end. It's dope, dude.
Yeah.
Sorry, every time like he kills that shit.
what's up.
But yeah, solid album, man. I definitely suggest people check it out. I bought it. I went on iTunes. I bought 3 albums actually
Clay,
Saturday.
clap
man.
it up for buying music.
Purchased
man.
them with
Yeah,
my own
shout
money.
out to that.
I bought
Man.
Common's album. I bought this Rude One joint, and then I bought the that West Side Gun Conway or the West Side Gun.
What's that? The
Yeah,
Hitler,
Hitler
Wears
Wears Hermes
Hermes
4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need more like you. Need
Hey,
more
man.
like you.
As a, do you guys? Let me ask you. Do you guys buy music?
I buy music from
Sometimes.
artists that
Yeah.
I like.
Yeah.
If Big
I feel-
Crit puts something out, I will buy it.
Likewise.
That's that
Yeah.
person I was talking about.
Kendrick, I will buy it.
I don't just buy anybody's shit. These were cats where I was like,
Yeah.
once I heard the Rude One,
Like-
I listened to the whole thing and was like, I got it.
I like to buy people's music of who I like, people I know.
Yeah.
Good point.
But I listen to so much music, like I'm very, very select.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'll
And
say.
in today's climate, I've said climate a lot this episode.
You also
didn't
have
even notice
multiple
that.
check marks.
I do, but we ain't gonna talk about
I'm about to
that.
get
Okay.
a chalkboard for check marks.
I got one.
I remember back in the day buying albums
Uh-huh.
and you get the whammy joint. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where the whole album is whack except for the one you heard on
The
like
single.
Which
Yeah.
made you go buy it. The
Yeah.
single
yeah.
made
So
you go
that
get
single
it.
made
Yeah.
you go buy it.
I can't lie. Jurassic 5 did that to me.
Well, you
Giving,
know.
yeah,
Yeah.
straight
I wasn't feeling it.
I feel that. I'm
But anyways.
kind of in the same boat. But today's day and age has spoiled me in the fact that I can listen to your album before I buy it.
Oh, yeah.
Now that's not necessarily a good thing as far as,
The artist.
you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, but I've bought some albums that were terrible other than the 1 or 2 songs that I heard before.
Yeah.
And then I bought some albums that were like off the hook, like great. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It was kind of like a gamble. But now I do kind of like how that is now.
Mhm.
But I wish like Tuesdays really meant something
Right.
to people. You know what I'm saying? I
It was
remember
cool.
going and just copping something new every Tuesday.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
I mean, these are
It's
the the
little
breaks.
Indeed.
What you guys got going on this week? What's popping?
Let's
as
talk
we
about
wrap
this
up?
joint real quick.
Okay.
We got the new No Bad Ideas hat.
Okay.
What is that called again?
PAX? Did you say it's
I
PAX?
think it's called PAX.
Hold on.
Yeah. Check this.
Shout
check
out to
this
No
joint
Bad
out.
Ideas. It's pretty dope hat.
It kind of matches my shirt a little bit,
Swag.
but yeah, they're good peoples. We're doing.
Yeah, no doubt.
Speaking of things that we're doing on
Okay.
Saturday, we have a lo-fi social event,
Okay.
Indianapolis at Listen Here.
All right.
It's $5.
All ages, correct?
All ages, kids are free. What's it called? The PAX strap back. Yeah, it's
There
got
you
the
go.
cool. It's got the cool strap in the back too.
Shout out to No Bad Ideas.
Strap
sir.
joint.
You guys got anything?
But they're a sponsor. So
Cut
but that
Camp.
beats-
Cut Camp. What's going on with Cut Camp?
Hey.
We
Somebody
are
want to
going
announce that?
Cut Camp's opening for Slick Rick. We just found out today on
Thursday.
the day this
Yes,
airs,
right.
at the Vogue.
That is
So,
dope.
Tickets are $25.
That's not bad to see Slick Rick, man.
I
Yeah.
will be there.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna be excited to be able to get on stage.
So,
yeah.
So come check us out at the Vogue.
That's gonna
Opening
be
for
dope.
Slick Rick.
Yes.
We'll be there.
And then of course Saturday Lo-Fi 6 to 10.
Yep.
Jay Brookins Beat Battle is right after that at
Shout out to Jay
Pioneer.
Shout
I
out to
think
Jay
I'm a
Brookins.
judge for that this time too.
Are you?
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll probably go check that out as well. It's a lot of dope stuff going on, man.
Yeah.
I'll be at those events. I don't think I have anything popping. I finished my instrumental EP.
Nice.
My
Nice.
website is about 94.3% done.
Makes beats.
I'll probably I'm going to drop the EP through Bringing Down the Band, no cosign. So I'm
That's
proud
hot.
of it. It's a tribute joint. So
Dope.
just excited, man. We got a lot of good things popping. Yeah, it's just exciting time.
Yeah, man.
Exciting time.
Definitely got some things cooking up, like music-wise.
Yep.
It's going to be a little while, but Well, I'm not going to let
the cat out the bag.
You
Yeah.
got a
Sit on it for a
couple
minute.
irons in the fire, though,
Yeah.
man. That's for sure.
I like
So,
that in you.
Surprise.
Yeah.
I like that in you, Spoolz. Don't give away the go. What's that song? Coast to Coast, go with the ghost. Yo, well, we are the new old heads. This is episode 2, brought to you by bringingdowntheband.com and No Bad Ideas. I am Major 7th for DJ Spoolz, Lonegevity, and my man DJ Jay Diff. We are the new old heads, and we will see you next week.
Goodbye.
Peace.
Holla.